Good morning, Merle. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Paul. Glad to be with you. I feel kind of ill after listening to all those chemical effects.
And you never know it either. Look, I do apologize. Usually when we have an author on, I have a chance to read the book, but I got yours 15 minutes ago, and I think it's going to take longer than 15 minutes to read this thing. But A Ghostly Shade of Pale, Merle Temple is a great storyteller, writing to all of your senses. I'm looking forward to reading the book and doing that this weekend. But first of all, a little bit about Merle Temple. Who are you? How long have you been around? And are you still in Mississippi?
Yes, I am. I'm back in Tupelo. I'm originally from Tupelo, and I've come home and gotten remarried. My first wife passed away, and I'm meeting a lot of my old friends, and some of them are surprised to find out that, yes, I am still alive.
I played a cut a few moments ago from an interview we had with Billy Munger and Leland Speed, and the reason I did that is because you sent me some pictures. One of them was Billy Munger was in that picture, and a very young Alan Nunley was there, and it was some pictures of Ronald Reagan when he was at the ranch. Where was the ranch? Out in California or where?
Oh, no, that was here. That was up between, over near Columbus,
okay.
Sheriff's Boys and Girls Ranch that they have, and yeah, I heard that clip, and I really enjoyed it. I appreciate it. Billy is one of my favorite people in the world.
So you've been involved in politics for a while?
Yeah, after I left the state, like any good patriot, I wanted to get engaged, and that's how I met Billy, and so I drove him up to meet then Governor Reagan just about 3 weeks before the election, and I got to be alone with Reagan. It was quite a thrill.
Is this your first book, or is it not? I'm not sure.
Yes, Ghostly Shade of Pale is my first book, and it's the first in a trilogy. So we're really, really blessed to have been received so well. And, of course, Criminal Minds, a TV show in Hollywood, endorsed us, and they're pitching it for a movie in Hollywood now.
So I understand you just got that word that they're looking at it and possibly for a movie.
Yeah, I heard from Jim Clemente there a couple of nights ago, congratulating us on the book launch here in Tupelo. And he asked me, he said, can we say that we discovered you? And I said, you guys can say whatever you want to. I owe you so much for that great quote you gave us on the book.
Yeah, just help me sell the books, and you can do anything you want to. All right, what's the book about, Merle?
Well, Ghostly is fiction, but it's based on my experiences when I was fresh out of Ole Miss in the early 70s, and I do emphasize the word fresh because we were terribly naive and really not prepared for the counterculture that we entered in those days. And I went to work for the Mississippi Bureau of Narcotics when it was brand new. So we were one of the first drug agents in the first drug war that Richard Nixon had declared.
What was the drugs of choice at that time?
Oh, of course, marijuana, but heroin, cocaine, LSD was big then. You don't hear about that so much now, but in those days, LSD and some of the other hallucinogens were very big.
Any particular part of the state were the universities the key points of the center, ground zeros for this, or?
Well, surprisingly, it came in through a lot of different areas, and we had a lot of small airfields in those days, of course, and still do, crop duster fields and things like that. And some of the intelligence agencies of the government were hiring mercenary pilots who were hopping guns into Central America for whatever side we were supporting at the time. The only problem was they didn't come back empty. They came back loaded with drugs.
I guess the story has probably been bouncing around in your head, but you put it all together and put the characters together. But a little bit about the characters in the book.
Well, of course, Michael Parker is a central character, loosely based on me, and he comes out of Ole Miss fresh and naive, as I said, and he goes undercover. And there were only about maybe 15 of us in the early days, or less than that. And so we worked solo, and it was sometimes quite dangerous. And he gets into some misadventures and gets taken hostage in South Mississippi, which was based on what happened to me in those days. And it goes on, and he sees how the money from drug trafficking is corrupting government at all levels, and he eventually becomes the first captain. And there are many, many threads in the book, Paul. It's Clementi calls it a big crime story as literature, and it is that, but it has so many diverse threads in there about history and geopolitics, and there's a love story there, and also a one-man search for God.
So it sounds like to me it's one of the things that we don't hear a lot about, Merle, that the drug culture really permeated a lot of the small-town mayors and sheriffs and things like that, had more of an effect than we know.
That's right, Paul. It was particularly distressing for me to go into some of the schools because I came through the public schools, had some great teachers in those days, but in a few short years, it seemed to change what I saw anyway. I went into some of the schools, and some of the teachers had come out of that drug culture and were now teachers, and the discipline had fallen away. And it was just a different world than what I had experienced in the 1960s.
Well, what year were we talking about as far as you began to see this in the schools? 1980s?
72, 73, 74. That was when, I guess, the first wave of a different kind of teacher, at least in those days. And I'm not demeaning teachers at all. I mean, I love public school teachers, but there was definitely a change that I saw in those days from where it was the teachers who were dedicated to giving their students a chance to become productive, employable citizens, and there became to be a lax atmosphere. And sometimes when I spoke later, when I came topside in some of those places, I would have to stop because I couldn't be heard above the din of the noise. There was just that discipline, that respect, and you look around and you see some people there who work in the school system who were on our list of suspected dealers and users and that kind of thing.
Yeah, you're serving ground zero here in this occupation, this career that you've chosen. And you look at it, and then all of a sudden you say, my God, wait a minute. You look at where we are today, May the 31st on a Friday of 2013, and you put all of these other things in there as far as the economy and divorce and all of this. And a lot of that can be traced back to the 60s when we went from the greatest generation to the baby boomers and the drug culture from our schools to everything else, and and I agree with you. It's played a tremendous part in breaking down America.
Yeah, Paul, I think you're right, and I think I don't want to sound too grandiose, but I tell people that if you kind of want to understand where we were and how we got to where we are, reading A Ghostly Shade of Pale wouldn't be a bad place to start. Besides just hopefully being a good read, it does take you back to when I think that we lost our way.
Yeah, it sounds to me like we're going to read this. The names have changed, but the story's about pretty accurate on what you experienced.
Yeah, for sure, and it's
yeah.
It was a rich time to draw from for an author. So many divergent things were colliding at once on the same stage. It challenged the nation's self-identity.
Is there a governor in here that you talk about?
There is a governor in there, a fictional governor, yes.
Sure, absolutely. Now, how does the governor relate to this? Or just as a meeting, or does he have a pertinent part in here?
Well, the governor is a part of a much larger problem and of people associating with people they shouldn't associate with, and the money that comes from those people, and the corruption and how it filters down and just corrupts government at all levels.
It'll be interesting, and again, we'll read this in two different ways. Once with once understanding where you came from, and the other with the names have been changed, but maybe the story is the same. Where are you going to be at Lemuria in the Jackson area soon, or where are you showing up to sign books?
Yeah, Paul, we'll be at Lemuria this coming Monday, the 3rd, at 5 p.m., and a lot of interesting folks are coming. A lot of reunions. We had a lot of emotional reunions here in Tupelo. We kicked off here in Tupelo last Thursday, broke all records for a new author, which included Grisham, And so I told people that I'm not going to be able to say that I bested Grisham in anything for very long, but while it lasts, I'm going to milk it for all it's worth.
I would.
But
I would.
we'll be in Lemuria this Monday at 5, and a lot of the agents from the old days I hadn't seen in a long time are coming for a reunion that night, and plus Delbert Hoseman is coming by, and Billy Munger will be there, and some judges and different people. It's going to be a great day.
Yeah, ask how many of them have been on the Gallo show when you're there. Then
I figure they probably all have.
Listen, man, good to talk to you when you happen to be in Jackson area. Stop in and say hello to us. It was a pleasure, and good luck on the book. I'll read it, and thanks for that, so I can have something to do for the weekend, and I appreciate it.
Thanks, Paul. People can take a look at merletemple.com if they would. And get
it's
a look
all there.
at
As a matter of fact,
I
think we put it on our Facebook page, so you can go there and take a look at it too. Merle, thank you, partner. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.